Multiple user data display issues. The following issues must be managed by the database administrator and have been covered in this course in other sections. So the first thing that must be understood is that any user with access rights may reset the database default calendar in the enterprise calendar form. So the issue with somebody resetting the calendar in the enterprise calendars global form here, at the moment the non-work time is based on corporate standard full time, and you'll see that we have a Monday holiday here. If somebody changes this to a 7-day week, you'll see that the holidays are now displayed differently. So it's important that an organization decides what calendar it's going to have as the default calendar, as this affects every single view in both the projects view and also in the activities view. And in the security options, only one person, which should be the administrator, should have the ability to reset the global calendar. The next issue is by default more than one person may open a project, and therefore under normal circumstances multiple people could open a project, and therefore anybody would be able to change the project. I believe that project schedules are very personal things, and only one person should be able to edit a project, and any number of people should be able to have read-only access to it, but they should not be able to change the program. I found in the past when other people have edited my program, I then spend hours trying to work out why it's different and what changes have been made. So it's important that the security options are set up and access to projects set up so that only one person can access a project and make changes to it. There are occasions when it's useful to have multiple people operating one project, particularly in big shutdown projects where you have a large number of shutdown schedulers and you only have one project file. And in that situation, you need to make sure that everybody's aware of the area of the project they're working in, and they should be allowed or be given guidance as to what area is theirs, and they should only be able to work in that area. It is also possible to drive access down to WBS node level if you like, but once you do drive access down to WBS node level, then the schedulers aren't able to schedule or put relationships between their WBS node and other WBS nodes. But that's another option. The next topic we need to talk about is when multiple projects are open together and the projects have different scheduling options. What happens then is the scheduling options of all the projects will be changed when you reschedule and set the same as the default project on a permanent basis. This is not desirable, and you need to be careful when you open multiple projects and schedule them together and actually check the scheduling options before you start. The other thing that you can consider doing is ensuring all the projects in a database all have the same scheduling options, but then the other issue that you may encounter is if you import a project from a customer or from a contractor and schedule it with some of yours, if they've got different options, then one of them is going to be changed. Another interesting point is the web actually calculates differently. It doesn't have the default project as in the Windows client, which is either the optional or professional client. When you're using the web, it actually uses the options of the project at the top of the list to calculate the other projects and doesn't change their scheduling options at all. And therefore, scheduling multiple projects in the web will give you a different answer to calculating multiple projects in the Windows client using either professional or optional client. So let's go to P6 and have a look at how this works. I have 3 projects here called Multiple Project Schedule 1, 2 and 3. If I open up the first project and I go to the scheduling options and select Tools, Schedule, Options, you'll see I've set these at the default. So if I now close this, I'll schedule, and I move now to the next project, and I right click and open this project, and I select Tools, Schedule, Options, you'll see that these are not the default. I have these 3 at the top ticked on. We've got actual dates, longest path, open project, start not finish, and successor instead of predecessor. And if I close, I can schedule this as well. If I now go and open all 3 projects by clicking on the multiple project scheduling node here and right click and open the projects, you can see that we have the 3 projects here. Now if I select Tools, Schedule and Options, the options here are actually being drawn from the default project. So I need to actually find out what the default project is. So if I go to Project, select Default Project, the software has actually selected this one for me without telling me. So when you open up multiple projects, it will select a default project. multiple project schedule 1 as a default project, which means that the options on multiple project schedule 2 will change if I schedule. So if I select OK and I select Tools, Schedule, and I schedule the project, I've now scheduled the projects together. If I go back now and open up multiple project schedule 2 and look at the options here and select Tools, Schedule, Options, you can see that these options have been changed from what they were, which had these switched on, had actual dates, longest path, start float, and successor activity. They've all been changed without me being told, and therefore this project will now never schedule the same way again. So this is something you need to be aware of when you are scheduling multiple projects together. The next topic is user baselines are not project baselines. So when you set a user baseline, that baseline is only available to that user that has set that baseline. So if you have another user that opens up a project and that project is using both the project baseline, say for the original baseline, and the user baseline for last period, if somebody opens up that project and applies the same layout, if they don't go and set the user baseline to be their user baseline, or the same as the original scheduler, they will see the plan days. Let me show you how this works. So I'm currently logged in as the administrator, and if I select Project Maintain Baselines, you'll see I've got an original baseline here, and then I've taken a copy of the project as it is, and I've set that as a baseline. So if I select Project Assign Baselines, you will see that the user baseline is as at the 14th of December, therefore the user baseline, which is the yellow one, is the same as the current program. Now what I'm going to do is log out and log in as a different user. So I've logged out. I was logged in as admin, so I'm going to log in as Harris PE, and I'll show you the difference when we get logged in. Now I've logged in as Harris PE, and I've imported the primavera.com.au layout, and I've displayed the two baseline bars. But now you can see that the baseline bar, the user baseline, is not the same as the current project. And if I select Project Maintain Baselines, you will see that the baseline is there. But if I select Project Assign Baselines, you'll see that the user baseline is set as the current project. And if I want to see the same baseline as the other user had, I actually need to go and set it here and select OK. And now you'll find that my user baseline is the same as the other user. So if I've got half a dozen people who are all viewing a project and they all want to see the same user baselines, each one of those users has to be actually informed outside P6 what they need to set their user baseline as each time they open the project. And this can become an administrative nightmare, and the database administrator must be well aware of who's opening what projects and what baselines are being displayed. Next, we're going to have a look at currencies. It's possible to have two currencies with the same symbol, and this may lead to different values being displayed by different users, and therefore you need to be very careful how you handle currencies in Primavera P6. So let's have a look at how this works. So at the moment this project is showing a completion cost of 51,200. If I select admin currencies, I've actually deleted all the currencies out of this database because it saves a lot of issues. But if I was to add a currency, I can make one such as US dollar, and I can make the exchange rate say 0.8. What happens now is that this currency is available for any user to assign. So any user can go to edit user preferences and go and change their currency to something else. And when I close now, I've got a finishing value of 40,960 because this user has gone and changed their currency. You can actually hide the currency symbol so you can make it Euro or Rand or any other currency you like, and you won't actually know what currency has been assigned to that project. So I certainly strongly believe that if you don't have multiple currencies or requirement for multiple currencies, then you should actually go and ensure that you go to admin currencies and delete all the currencies you don't need. Next topic I want to talk about is users with different units formats in their user preferences will display different values for their units. Let's go to P6 and have a look at this. So at the moment I'm displaying duration in days, labour units in hours, and I'm showing the default units per time as 8 hours per day. If I select edit user preferences, I can change my units of time, say to days. I can actually hide the units label if I want to. I can show this in weeks, and I can show this as percentage. I needn't show subunits if I don't want to. And if I close, you'll see now that we're showing completely different information here. Inconsistent reporting is not a good idea, and it's important that there are procedures put down so that everybody reports using the same duration and units each week. And of course, edit user preferences. You can also change the date format, and I believe it's better to have a consistent date format when you're reporting as well. So in a large database with a number of users, the database administrator is very important to ensure that the calendars are kept consistent, to make sure that only one person has access to a project, keep an eye on things like scheduling options, user baselines, currencies, and ensure consistency in reporting by giving guidance on units format and user preferences.